184,000 women die each year, 184,000 women diagnosed with breast cancer, and we can minimize those statistics if, you know, we can just raise the awareness, and I've been personally affected by it. So anything I could do, even if I can touch a few people, then I've accomplished something.
When you look at the
spokespeople,
I think I'd feel much more comfortable modeling, but they asked me to host, so this is new for me. I'm a little nervous. There's such a great vibe here.
What we wanted to do is to expand the horizons of the campaign and really have spokespersons who were in the relevant worlds that MAC is involved. So in selecting Boy George, Christina Aguilera, Missy Elliott, Chloe Sevigny, and Linda really was our fashion play.
back to you. Thank you.
Mac's Canadian born, so am I, and about 20 years ago I started modeling, and that's when Mac was born. And I found this little spice lip pencil, and it was sort of the same color as my mouth, but better. And it kind of became my trademark, the pencil, and I helped push it a bit. Well, I insisted on wearing it, and so, yeah, I've always used Mac.
People just don't come back like this in her line of work. And yet here's Linda Evangelista, after 4 years out of the spotlight, generating the kind of heat that her industry has lacked since, well, since that first fabulous wave of supermodels eased off the global stage in the mid-1990s. Evangelista helped write the script for a good decade's worth of fashion history. We don't wake up for less than $10,000 a day, she once joked. And her instantly misquoted words became instantly emblematic of an era. But if those days are gone, Evangelista herself still has a lot to say for a new era. The icon is reborn.
I'm a different person, and I've changed a lot, and I feel like I know exactly where I'm going and what I'm doing, and I'm in control. Everything I've said in the past is now obsolete. Maybe I had to go through all that hysteria to get to where I am today.
And where she's got at this particular moment is a spot on Canada's Walk of Fame in Toronto, where she unveiled her own star in the company of other illustrious Canadians. Mike Myers, Shania Twain, Robbie Robertson. People whose professional achievements have, like Evangelista's, changed the industries in which they work.
I taught Linda in grade 6.
To help present her award, Evangelista selected her favorite teachers in a fine advertisement for the power of education to mold young minds.
I taught Linda in grades 7 and 8, and her smile lit up the classroom. She was a very hard worker, determined, dedicated, with a great sense of humor and an infectious giggle.
Now, there's something you wrote in her yearbook that you need to share with us, I think.
Something I really believed in. I said, "See you on the cover of Vogue."
I did know early on that I wanted to model. I had no idea it was going to happen yet, and I guess they knew it too, and I didn't ever think it possible to be on the cover of Vogue. I thought it was just a very nice thing of her to say.
What was it about modeling that attracted you at such an early age?
As a little tot, you could see how obsessed I was already with the fashion, and my mom was sewing for me, and I already had what looked like a Chanel belt and a Chanel purse with this red jumpsuit and major attitude posing in my pictures when I was just tiny. And you know, my Barbies, those poor things got dressed and undressed and so many times. And I would raid my aunt's closets, and my mother, I would beg her for more clothes, and she would sew me outfits. I already loved it. I was really a girly girl. I already loved the fantasy of it and looking beautiful and dreaming about fashion.
Evangelista's mother indulged her daughter's passion by enrolling her in modeling school, and at 15 she entered the Miss Teen Niagara pageant. She didn't win a trophy, but she got noticed by a scout for elite models, which paved the way for her move to New York in 1984, where she slowly nurtured her career. It's impossible to overestimate the impact that Linda Evangelista has had on her profession and on her industry. Fashion might like to think it's all about change, but it actually likes to stay the same as much as possible. So when it's confronted by a creature for whom metamorphosis is second nature, a riot ensues. Blame it on the hair, the inescapable co-star of the Evangelista story. Her big break was a cut in 1988.
I said to Linda, why don't you cut your hair? And she said, you must be out of your mind. No? And then like a month later, she just walked in the studio and said, I'm ready now. And I said, what are you talking about? She said, I want to cut my hair. I said, oh, no. I don't want to be responsible for this, because she looked amazing, no, with this long hair. And she said, cut it. No? And then Julian, the hairdresser, he just took her whole hair back like this, no? And took it back and hauled it back and said, is everybody okay? And she said, yeah, and she started crying, no? And he took this thing, whap, it was gone in one zip, no?
After the cut came color, shade after shade after shade. Hair is a powerful signifier in ancient myths and legends, but nobody ever wielded its fatal attraction like Linda.
What's the thing you're most tired of being asked?
What's your next hair color?
Has it been fun doing it, though, knowing the effect that it has on other people?
No, because they criticize it always in the beginning, like the haircut. They're like, oh my God, at a time when everybody has long hair, she has short hair. They didn't get it at the beginning. And now people, they don't care what hair color I am. They book me, not for my hair color.
Yeah, but you know when you've been called the Madonna of the modeling world, for example. And what...
Who I adore, but I don't...
You know, when you look at Madonna, you just get the sense that she's having a lot of fun, twisting people's preconceptions.
I'm not trying to twist anything.
Oh, yeah?
No, nothing.
Yeah. I just think it would be a fun element, though, as part of the job. Seeing that you're under a lot of pressure all the time. I don't want to make you defensive.
Any reaction is a good reaction as long as they notice, so it's fine. I don't really care if they approve or not.
Later on Fashion File, focus is everything.
I've done everything I wanted to do. I've gotten everything I wanted to get. Had a really good time, and I'm still going.
Evangelista was a compelling muse for photographers as much as for designers, and one of the most dynamic creative partnerships was with Steven Meisel. What made the Meisel-Evangelista relationship so special was a collaborative intensity that suggested the great director-actress partnerships of film rather than fashion. Under Meisel's direction, Evangelista evoked to an almost eerie degree the spirits of celluloid icons. The ones that lingered longest were her recreations of the bombshells of Italian cinema for Italian Vogue and for Dolce & Gabbana's ad campaigns.
I always thought it was funny that you said you weren't interested in acting, when it seemed to me that that was what you did. You played so many different roles for every shoot that you did.
In a sense, I guess it is acting, but I can't imagine wearing the same outfit for 3 months and repeating myself over and over and over again. I think I would shoot myself. I want to go somewhere else tomorrow and wear something different, and it's not my dream. But one should never say never, I've learned in life, and it's just, I'm not that interested in it.
makes a model super? Look back at the late 80s and you can see an unusual confluence of events. Charismatic photographers, adventurous editors, advertisers with deep pockets, and a new wave of models who, in a break with tradition, work just as well on the catwalk as they did in a magazine. The first designer to really appreciate the power of such a coherent presentation was Gianni Versace. Versace realized that the supermodels could function as a living, breathing extension of his extravagant fashion aesthetic.
Johnny can take a lot of credit for me sitting here today and talking to you. He was our biggest backer. He really believed in us. I don't know if he knew what he was doing or if it just happened the way it happened, but he had a lot to do with the creating of the Supermodel.
I think he loved movies so much that he realized it was possible to make movie stars out of models.
Well, he was the epitome of glamorous, and I don't know, he was just always so enthusiastic, and everything was just so, I don't know, the dresses were just more was more. And I don't know, it just worked.
And it wasn't just Versace. Linda's own willingness to go farther and farther out coalesced with the sensibility of the similarly maximal fashion buccaneer John Galliano to produce images so purely Hollywood that they transcend fashion iconography.
We were thinking the other day of you and the yellow dress in the pinups collection for Galliano. Just the most kind of memorable images.
I have that dress in my bedroom. It's the first thing I see when I wake up in the morning. That's such a happy dress.
Do you ever wear it?
I haven't. It's starting to fall apart. It's on a mannequin in my bedroom, but that's one of my favorite moments in fashion. Personal moments.
Ya regresa.
Father felt working with him, another designer who you've had a really long and fruitful relationship with. I imagine that, you know, as a little girl obsessed with fashion, I would have thought that would be quite an experience for a young fashion addict as well.
You can name me any designer, and I'm going to go off on them because they all excite me. They all excite me, but I am passionate about Chanel, especially the accessories. And Carl would sometimes torture me and not give me any accessories because he said they weren't necessary, and he knew I would be suffering without them. He used to say, "I just want you." And I wanted all the glitter that went with it.
Now, Dolce & Gabbana let you get in touch with your Italian roots and play all those fabulous sort of 50s, you know, bombshell, like Magnani and Gina Lollobrigida and people. Was that a big part of, was that something that was really lovely for you, to be able to be, you know, this Italian kind of sex goddess?
I think out of all of the stuff I've ever done, that that was the stuff that was more the closest to the real me.
A fiery Latin.
Yeah.
The first wave of supermodels had an all-consuming effect on fashion. There were never really more than a handful of them, but resistance was futile. During the late 80s and early 90s, these girls had a lock on success. It's not hard to imagine how frustrating the situation must have been for everyone locked out of that inner circle. So it's equally easy to appreciate how there was a huge pool of people ready, willing, and able to feed the myths of divadom. And according to them, there was no greater diva than La Linda.
I'm not a bitch, I'm just very defensive, and at work, if somebody doesn't do their job properly, I nail them for it. I'm difficult, okay?
I know you are.
There's a sort of tabloid element to the coverage, isn't there? That they're quoting friends, you know, unacknowledged friends, saying, well, that quote about the clock ticking and so on. I mean...
Of course it's ticking, and of course once you're on the top, where are you going to go? There's nowhere to go after you're at the top. I'm not stupid, and I'm not worried. I've done everything I wanted to do. I've gotten everything I wanted to get, and I'm not bitter. I had a really good time, and I'm still going.
Later on Fashion File, the perfect model returns.
When you talk about fashion and you talk about model, everybody say Linda.
12 years ago, who knew at that time the supermodel phenomenon would develop such legs? Evangelista herself seems so cool and self-aware that it's hardly innocence that comes to mind when one looks at those old images.
Yet there was a paradoxical innocence about these young women thrown into the deep end of fame for being pretty faces.
Ooh la la, la 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 la. In retrospect, I look back and think, wow, I would have done things a lot differently and said things a lot differently. I just wasn't, I don't know what was happening. It was happening so fast, and it just seems like another time, another period. If I would have known then what I know today, I think I would have slowed it down a bit. I didn't appreciate so much what was going on. I didn't have the time to. Ooh la la, la 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 la.
There is a sense with Evangelista's return that this time she's more in charge of events, carefully orchestrating a future for herself by cherry-picking the highest profile gigs. Chanel Haute Couture, a Dolce & Gabbana show. Don't call it a comeback. Few models have enjoyed that luxury in their careers. But however out of control life may have been, Evangelista always did manage to give the impression that she was the boss.
Ooh la la, la 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 la.
Not much has changed. The fashion changes, but the faces were all the same. The only thing is backstage, I got to see the new faces, and it was an honor to do the show with all the new girls.
And how do you feel about it when you look back, when you have Linda on the catwalk for you, and you think about that moment for you?
No, we have emotion when I see her, a big emotion, because we don't see her for 5 years. And when she walked on the fashion show, Linda, she's an icon for the new generation of the model, for the new generation of the photographer. When you talk about fashion and you talk about model, everybody say Linda.
And for the fall couture shows for 2003, everyone included Jean-Paul Gaultier, who chose Evangelista as the star of his show and allowed us a rare behind-the-scenes glimpse of the way character is crucial to couture's individual stance.
Bien resserré là. Je crois qu'il n'y a rien besoin de plus. So it will be all beaten and it will make the rectification.
This is real jet.
Real jet. Can you imagine?
Can you imagine?
I think we find that it's all jet, you know, from the 20s. But I think, you know, that it was made not for fashion. It was made for something else.
Furniture, lamp.
Maybe decoration and something like that. Yes, it could be.
Divine.
She is like strong and very beautiful. She is very sophisticated and she's maximum glamorous. And for me, she's the top model.
Coming up on Fashion File, Linda glows a little brighter.
You know, sometimes you have people like that, they're like comets. Like, everybody's like mesmerized by her.
Well, the second Peter Lindbergh, who's been there from the very beginning. We headed to Arles in the south of France to watch Linda and Lindbergh working together for French Elle.
Linda is amazing. I must say, to look in the camera after, like, I didn't work for her, like, with her for a few years. You say, my God, what did I miss in all these years where I didn't work with her? There are very few favorite models, but she was probably the most talented. Everything is happening around her she can transform in an expression or in something that can help her to get a great image.
It's an education watching Evangelista make a picture. Her patient perfectionism raises the game of everyone around her.
Okay means fabulous! Huh? Oui, c'est parfait, huh?
But equally, you get the sense that she needs them to lift her. After all, she can't always rely on the clothes. These people are, for the duration of the shoot, her family, which is why her best work has always been achieved with the same tight team of people.
It's very pleasant for her, like, just to start and working with people she likes. And she brings so many things for everybody in this business, everybody. You know, sometimes you have people like that, they're like comets, like, and you don't know where they're coming from, and they're like big surprise. Everybody's like mesmerized by her.
It's nice when the hand is also, that's beautiful to have that's a little better, a little more complicated picture then.
On the surface, Evangelista is still, to a mystifying, time-defying degree, the formidable beauty we remember. But go deeper, and there's a new reflectiveness, a candor, a vulnerability, which has given her beauty a haunting edge.
Do you feel you have a lot more to express now in your work because of what you've been through in the time that you were off?
I think because I feel like I'm a better person today and a more balanced person, that I can actually do a better job than I used to.
Do you think what you do is about knowing yourself or finding yourself?
Wow, that's a deep question. I haven't found myself yet. I'm still working on that.
Again, like a great actress who reinvents herself over time, Linda Evangelista is a work in progress.